No, thank you. Just getting this lining in and getting ready to actually sew it up, so we'll see how it goes. If you're gonna hang around at all, feel free to ask any questions, or if you just want it to be a little bit more of a ASMR quietly working on something, happy to shut up and let you watch too. So. Oh, very cool. Yeah, how long have you been doing leatherwork? Or leather craft, I guess? I've been going for about just over a year, and this is by far the hardest thing I've ever tried to do. Mostly done wallets and small things like that. Oh, nice. Yep, very similar. This I don't know if you saw before I moved the camera over, but I'm making this purse. So, yeah, it was supposed to be a Christmas gift. Just to tell you how much it's broken me mentally. There were like 2 or 3 things that I just totally messed up and had to redo, and just had to like step away for a month before I had the heart to go back to it and get hurt again, Sorry, I'm just getting needles threaded, and then we'll start sewing away. Yeah, this, like I said, this is the most complex one I've made. I made a just like a really basic tote bag, no lining, just the shells and the handle. But other than that, all I've done is the wallets. I don't golf, but I have friends that golf, so I've done a few like magnetic ball markers, but mostly wallets. I found a old sewing machine at a thrift shop about a week ago, from the 70s, but it's been really well maintained, and so I'm hoping that I have it at a repair shop right now. I'm hoping the guy can actually get it fixed up nicely, because I like hand stitching, but there are some things that like it just makes more sense to have a machine for, obviously. Also, I know that, like I said, I've only been doing this year, so I'm not really that good in general. I know the rule is like you should only be able to pull through the amount of thread you have, but I'm like, I'd rather just pull through a couple times and not have to do 2 separate sections while I'm going around a longer area like this. But like I said, definitely have plenty to learn still. I've also only just started streaming like this week. I was like, you know what? I'm quietly working in my basement. Might as well turn the camera on and see if anyone wants to watch. That's really cool. Costume work. Like Ren Fair stuff mostly, or cosplays? Is there something specific that he does? Or I guess something that you do other than, or looking to do, other than what you already mentioned? Nice. Yeah, the the leatherwork YouTube algorithms, or leathercraft YouTube algorithms, and Ren Fair algorithms have a lot of overlap. So as soon as I started getting into this, all of the Ren Fair content, started popping up. I really want to go to one. When you say you just opened a shop, physical store or a like online shop to try and sell stuff? Let's get this down a little bit. Nice. Yeah, so I wanted to do this kind of as like, not for sure if everyone's familiar or if you're familiar with it. There's like a concept in art of doing a master study, right? So just looking at an art piece and trying to copy it. So that's essentially what I did. I didn't have a real pattern for it, but I just asked my wife, like, okay, find a purse you want, and I'll see if I can make it. Obviously, since I'm not selling it, I think it's all legal and stuff, right? But this is from the brand Polene, which I'm also not really into luxury brands, so I had never heard of it before she sent me the picture, but yeah. So I really just looked at the listing and dimensions that was on there and then tried to copy it like without a pattern. Oh, nice. Order form with the Discord. Cool. Yeah, I also would love to start selling things. I wanted to initially do, what do we call that? Like farmers markets this summer. There are quite a few around where I live. They're like pretty good size. But then actually just had a baby a couple weeks ago. So next couple months are going to be pretty chaotic. I don't know if we're going to make any farmers markets this summer, but hopefully next. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. I've for the wallets and stuff I've done, I've never bought a pattern. Like there's so many free patterns online. Um, Once again, where I'm not selling anything yet. I don't, you know, I haven't paid too much attention to like commercial licenses or whatnot. Um, but I've just been using a bunch of online free patterns, and then I think I'm the type of person that whether it's cooking or leather or whatever, um, like if there's something I want to do, I don't usually follow like specific instructions. So I watched like 20 different videos on a similar style of wallet, right? And then kind of get the concepts down, um, just as a starting point, and then going from there. So that's how I've done most of the wallets that I've done. And then, yeah, obviously, like I said, trying to do it just from pictures. Um, there were so many things I messed up as I was doing this. Um, Had to do the small handle bit twice. Had to redo the back part twice. There's like, at one point, I almost totally gave up. I messed up and essentially like punched a hole in it in the wrong spot. And that was hard to come back from. I was like, do I just give up? But I didn't really have enough leather of left to do a whole new one. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on new leather, so just did the best I could to cover it up and kept going. Pinterest. Yeah, I've never used Pinterest in my whole life. I know it's something I probably need to get on because that's where a lot of creatives and makers that I follow obviously get good inspiration from. But yeah, I've never actually used it, so I'll need to give it a try. Yeah, no, that's super good to know. It's funny. I started doing this because, like I said, I'm not really into luxury brands at all. Um, but we were walking around the mall once, and there was, say, right? Yeah, I've seen the commercial license, part of it. Like I was saying, we were walking around a mall, and here's this store Hermes, which I'm sure most people know of, even though I wasn't really familiar with it. And it has a little change tray. It's just, valet tray, little leather square with the corners folded up. I was like, wow, this looks really nice. Like, that's something I would be interested in having. And then it was like $700. I was like, well, I'm not going to spend $700 on a like 1 square foot of leather, no matter how nice it is. Like, you know what? I can just get some leather, get some tools, learn a new skill, and make my own for probably like less than 100. And so that's really why I started. I was like, I want this thing, and I'm not willing to pay that much for it, so I'll just make it. Yeah, right. I think once you have the brand recognition that Hermes has, you can definitely try that. Yeah, the prices can go up by a lot. Um, yeah, so I made like the super basic change tray, and then after that, I was like, you know what? I've been hunting for the perfect wallet for years, and I had one that I liked and it was fine, but um, it wasn't like exactly what I wanted. So like, well, I guess now I have the tools. I'll just make my own one. Yeah, hey, I sure hope so. Honestly, that's the thing. I was just thinking through the other day. Like, so this was mostly a project just for learning, so that I could, yeah, try a bunch of new things. Definitely get outside of my comfort zone. Um, but I was thinking through like what I would have to price this bag at to make it worth it, and it's like 3 or 4 times what it would have cost to just like buy it from the place that I was using as inspiration, just because the amount of time I've spent on it. Like I said, most of that has been redoing things that I've screwed up, but that's kind of what the project was for, right? Just learning. So, um, yeah. I'm also like trying to finish this before tomorrow because it's obviously Mother's Day. So I'm like, I'll probably be stitching till pretty late tonight. This is the last piece. I just need to finish putting this lining on and then actually get it in the bag, and it'll be done. So we're close. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Sometimes it's so hard to like not be too hard on yourself, especially like I said. And you keep reminding yourself, I did this to learn, right? This specific project. Obviously still learning with the other stuff I make too, but like this specifically was to learn. And so every little like fumble, every little mistake, every imperfection that's like there that I can see, it's just downer, you know? It's hard to like remember to stay positive about it. But yesterday, when I finally got, yesterday, 2 days ago, when I got everything else finished other than this liner that we're working on, like stepping back and looking at it, I was like, wow, like it actually kind of looks pretty dang good, you know? So it's good to have those moments. Yeah. Cross country walk finding the guy hand stitching in his basement. It'll be no time at all. It's funny, like I said, we just had a kid a couple of weeks ago, so obviously pretty tired, you know, not getting the best sleep of my life. Um, but I've been working on this a lot this week, kind of as a surprise. I said to my wife, I don't think she expects it to be done tomorrow. So I told her I was just working on some new wallets. She was like, is it like when we have these breaks to go get some rest, like you should go take a nap or something? Is it restful for you to work on your leather stuff? I was like, it's not like restful, right? Like obviously sleeping would be more restful, but especially doing something like the stitching, it's like fairly meditative, to be honest. I definitely don't hate it. We'll see how it is now that I'm talking while I'm doing it, trying to communicate with other people. But, before I decided to try and stream it, I was like, okay, come down, turn on a podcast or some, mindless TV show I can just have running in the background and stitch and not have to think about much else. It's kind of the goal. It's nice, Definitely not draining for me, other than the fact that I'm still awake. Yeah. For the first little bit, I did just use like a C-clamp and some books. Because, it's one of those things where, like most hobbies, it can get stupid expensive, right? Like, it's definitely not a cheap hobby. I was like, I'm not going to spend a ton of money before I know if I'm actually, like, committed to it, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on something I'm going to give up on in a month and a half. Because, like, I got one of those basic, has everything you need kind of kits off of Amazon for like $15, right? And then went to Tandy and got some of their like clearance hides for like another 50. So okay, I'm really only $75 in. I mean, I think I got some dye and maybe some glue here and there, so like all in, call it $100. I was like looking at stitching ponies. I was like, okay, I could spend like $200 or $300 on a stitching pony, which seems crazy, and then or I could spend another $20 on this one off of Amazon, and either I'm not good enough to tell the difference, or there just really isn't that big of a difference, And it's one of those things where like there's definitely a difference. Is there a 10x difference or a 20x difference? Like, probably not, right? So Like, I'd rather save some money on tools and buy more and better leather to work with, right? Once again, especially where haven't sold anything yet. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it does make a huge difference to have it. The book thing is like great, but like I said, you can find some cheap ones. Like I said, I think this one was only $20 on Amazon. It's really like not that bad, um, but it is makes a world of difference with the actual stitching part. And like this isn't clamped to my table. I have a C clamp holding it in place. This is one that has like the wood going out the back so you can sit on it if you're like stitching on the couch, which actually is kind of nice because I have done that before. You know, get everything glued up and ready, and then go up and watch a show with the family while I'm stitching some wallets. Yeah, I was trying to think if there was like anything in my kit right now that could actually be classified as like nice. And I don't think there is. I don't think there's a single thing I've spent like even medium amounts of money on. It's all been like, what's the cheapest thing I can find that's also going to be serviceable, you know? And it's funny because like I'll see people on YouTube or other places, and they'll be like, "Look at all this stuff I got from like the thrift store, or a pawn shop." I'm like, man, apparently you live in a much more leather focused community, because I go all the time to thrift shops to try and find stuff, and I have not ever, like not even a single time, found any sort of leather tools. Also, did I mention you're the first person that has ever chatted to me ever? So this has been fun. Come on. There we go. I'm glad you are too. Or I'm glad you did too. Do you watch Twitch much? Because, like, I don't. So I really don't even know that much about it. It took me like 20 minutes the first night I tried to do this just to figure out how to even see the chat. You know? Which didn't matter, right? That first night, since no one was here. But awesome. Yeah, that'd be way cool. If you do start streaming, let me know. I will definitely hop on for that. Um, yeah, it's funny. I don't know how obvious it is from the video, but like I'm in my unfinished basement. um, and yeah, it's funny. We've talked about like, should we finish it? You know, is how much of it could I work on without having to hire someone else out? And ever since I started doing this, I'm like, or we could not finish it and I could keep my workshop instead of turning into all the other stuff that a basement would naturally turn into. Yeah, seriously. It's funny, we want to move. We just don't really like the location where we were at. Um, anyway, if we're gonna look at a house, like we needs to either still have an unfinished basement that I can use, or like it needs to have a dedicated space that I can actually turn into a workshop. Cause yeah, I just like making stuff in general. Like, got a 3D printer just here out of frame. Um, I welded and did metal shop in high school. I've done a little bit of woodworking. Um, but so much of it takes space, right? We don't have, a, we don't have a ton of space. But leather is nice because it really doesn't take a huge amount of space. Like, it's nice. It's nice to have a bigger workbench or whatever. Yeah, but not a necessity. Yeah, actually, that's the exact reason that I got it. Well, I'd been looking at 3D printers for a while because, like I said, just kind of interested in making and crafting in general. And then I saw someone use it to make leather stamps. And I was like, okay, like now I can justify it, right? Like if I can add something to the leather stuff that I'm already doing, it's a value add. Once again, this all depends on eventually actually selling things, right? But if I do, being able to print out some of those stamps is going to save a ton of money. So I've done two, and they were pretty sturdy. Like it was definitely fine. It's not going to be the nice brass, stamps that you can just use a clicker press or whatever. Not that I have one. That's the other thing. I don't have a fancy press to put them in. So it's like, once again, same with the tools. Like I said, what's the cheapest thing that can be serviceable? And that it is. So I'll case the leather, just wet it down a little bit, and then stamp it down with a C-clamp on it for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it's great. Like, it's been awesome. Like I said, I've only done a couple of test pieces because I'm still trying to figure out, like, well, I was gonna say if I want a maker mark, but I figure I do, right? Still need to just figure out what it's gonna be. Collaborate with stamps. Yeah, like I said, had to weather it. I haven't done a ton of tooling, like a little bit here and there, but you didn't. Yeah, it's just got a little bit damp, and like I said, clamping it down with a C-clamp and leaving it on there for like 5 minutes was good enough. And yeah, I mean, hey, if you have like files that you need printed out. Oh, nice. The banana. That's good. Yeah, I don't even know how that would work. I have the same. Does Twitch have DMs? I don't know how this works. I don't think it does, right? It's the same name. I do have a Instagram. if you want to go shoot me a DM over there to talk, like I said, happy to print out some stuff for you. Or maybe that's weird. I don't know. Should I be more stranger danger aware on the internet? Maybe I'm too innocent. Sounds good. Yeah. If you send me a whisper, I'm sure I'll figure out how to find it. And then we can talk about getting some prints made. Yeah, I also am planning to 3D print, and maybe tell me if this idea sounds dumb or crazy. File. So file format is an STL file. If you have like a black and white image, there are converters that'll convert it to an STL file. I can do really basic CAD. If you did need help, like getting it created, if you're interested in doing CAD, the easiest one to use is called Tinkercad. It's like for middle school students, so it's really easy. But yeah, file is STL. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to print out a holder to do, not a holder. I want to do more, I don't want to. What am I trying to say? There are people that have asked for things to be monogrammed, right? So they want their initials on them. I am going to print out a like sliding holder for the alphabet set that I already have. Like, have you seen like hot presses for foil stamping? They have like the little piece of metal with like a V groove in it or a dovetail that you slide the letters into. I'm just gonna 3D print one of those and use it with like the existing leather stamps that I have that I got off of Amazon. Yeah. Do you want to hear the jankiest piece of that whole process? So I have, let me show you. So I have these, right? I have, here's like the most basic little, can you even see? Am I out of frame? There you go. And I wanted to try foil stamping. So I literally took them, got it ready, used a lighter to heat up the actual letter, and then hit that with the hammer to see if it would work with the foil. And it did. Like, it worked well enough, you know? So I'm like, if I can do that and actually line them up and not spend $300 or $400 on one of those heated presses, like, once again, why not, you know? It'd probably be something I would buy like fairly quickly if I start, once again, if I could actually sell something and start to make money with it. Like, that, I think, is another one that adds a lot of value for a lot of people, being able to put their initials on it. But until I can cash flow it with sales, I'm not, yeah, just can't justify it, you know? Oh, okay. And I will try and figure out how to get whispers turned on. Obviously later, but And yeah, if you do find me on Insta, you'll be able to see all the other poorly made stuff that I've put together. I think I've posted literally everything I've made from the very beginning. So, I mean, maybe missed a couple things here and there, but I was uh I was at Tandy the other day, story time, and there was this family in there that obviously like was not familiar with leathercraft, which is fine. They were looking for like a leather dye for their son's baseball glove, and the mom, at one point, she's talking with the worker there, who's helping them find stuff, and she says, "Wow, all of this is so cool. It's like a lost art." And I was like, really? That's it's just so funny. Like, you're standing in a national retailer with 4 locations within 45 minutes of you, and you're saying it's a lost art. Like, I don't know. I found it funny, and this is not like anything negative towards her, but it's just interesting like how separated people are from like the things we have and the things we use, you know? It's like the idea that people make things out of leather was just so foreign to her, you know? But I think that's common for a lot of people, you know? Until I found it on YouTube and went down the rabbit hole, I didn't even think twice about any of that type of stuff. But it was just kind of funny, her being like, yeah, it's like this, it's like a lost art. It's like, well, not really, but sure. The fact that I'm only halfway around this, I'm like, this is gonna be a long night. That is so cool. I've been looking for something like that near me. I found like Facebook pages and websites that are just clearly dead, you know? Like someone wanted to get something started up and then it just died off. Like we don't even have a good makerspace near where I live, you know? So it's funny, I always tell people that like if I didn't have to work for money, but I had to have a job, there's like 2 things. It's like one, obviously, I would love to just actually continue to make leather stuff and sell that. But if we're gonna add like the condition that it has to be a little bit more of a, you know, a little more ambitious, a little bigger of a job, I would love to do a makerspace. Like I know they're just money holes for a lot of people, or a lot of owners that try to get them started up. But once again, if I had all the money in the world, little makerspace, 3D printers, CNC machines, leather stations, pottery, like I would love to run one of those near where I live. I think that'd be so cool. Hey, who knows? Maybe one day. Ooh, HVAC. That is pretty sweet. I about 5, 6 years ago, I I was doing software sales for a company, and we worked with HVAC companies for like it was one of our verticals, um, and like this was a pretty fancy, not fancy, but it was like an up and coming tech company. They trying to have all the perks and whatnot, um, and they were doing this deal with a large, I think it's a HVAC supplier called Ingersoll Rand. Um, but they were like flying out to Florida for a meeting, and this was like our CEO, the VP of sales, like people that are making a lot of money, right? Um, I was not making a lot of money. I was like literally the lowest on the totem pole, so did not go for that. But our VP of sales came back and he's like, "Yeah, we thought we were so cool. We flying out. We're this fancy tech company, all in business class, and then we get there, and it's like, and every single person comes in on a private jet." And so he's like, "Hey, if I ever disappear, just know I went to go do HVAC instead of software sales." You'll get there between uh, between your leather becoming a luxury brand and your thriving HVAC business. The private jet's on its way. I'm also streaming this from my phone, and I have no idea how much battery I have. I should probably check. Okay. We're good for at least a little bit longer. It's funny, even as I'm stitching this, I'm just like terrified that I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm gonna try and actually put it into the bag, and I'll have done something backwards, or something like that, just because of how many things have gone wrong. All right. Well, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Have get some rest. 4 hours. Dang, you should have gone to bed 4 hours ago. Oh, a couple of hours, not 4. But either way, Hey man, get some rest. Oh no. Oh, still getting sound. I was being quiet there for a bit though. Okay. Glad it was not me. But yeah, have a good night. Sounds good. And yeah, hopefully see you some other time too. If anyone else is actually watching, hello.